Welcome back to Business Owners Speak. Today we have with us, with that fabulous background, Tara Lordi with Weedoo Greenboat Inc. Tara, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. I thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're excited to learn more. So thank you for taking the time and joining with us today. So like I do with every guest, tell us a little bit about you and your business.
Sure. So Weedoo Greenboat Inc. was established in 2010 with my husband and my father-in-law. We all grew up in an area, I grew up in the Catskill Mountains and the Hudson Valley in New York, and my husband grew up in Toronto. So outdoors, environmentalist, all part of our upbringing. We noticed that people were spraying herbicides in lakes in an attempt to control the aquatic weeds and the invasive weeds that were starting to really become a problem. And it would be a problem in the sense that they would get involved in boat props. It would stop the depths of waters. It would create, even children swimming in lakes could get caught into these weeds. So it was very dangerous. So understood it has to come out, but unfortunately they chose to spray herbicides. And in that choice, it had long-term negative impacts on the environment, which we soon realized. We also realized at the time that if we didn't develop another method that was economical as well as effective, that we would never be able to get them to stop spraying herbicides. So they're founded Weedoo Greenboat Inc. Unfortunately, my father-in-law and my husband both have passed. So I've been running the company myself since 2016 with their moral support. And we have grown from a few boats in a warehouse to we are now in over 16 countries, and we have about 50% of the United States. In individual states, we've spread our wings out to. Half of our business is government and the federal government, where they purchase these vessels to help with the waterway cleanup. The other half are heavy equipment companies looking to add us to their arsenal. But primarily we reside in South Florida here, and we are a manufacturer, and we manufacture the vessels here. We're in a very good situation, and where we control nearly the entire build. And we're growing. As a matter of fact, before this lovely meeting today, I had a meeting with some local state folks here in Florida on the next steps, because we're growing our plant, we're moving and making a bigger plant. So yeah, it's been a great success. We've experienced a roughly 18 to 20% growth over the last 10 years. And it's the team. I'm not gonna, I'm just the navigator up here. But it's been an exceptional ride. Waking up in the morning and going to work, that's normal. Waking up in the morning, going to work, and knowing that we're leaving the earth a better place, that's something, I think.
That's very interesting. And so, just so I'm clear, the business is more so manufacturing the vessels than doing the service of removing the plant life. Is that accurate?
Sure. So we started with doing service so we could learn more on what attachments we needed. But no, we manufacture the vessel and then we sell the vessels, and we wouldn't want to do the service because that would directly compete with the clients that we're selling to. Although we do take a lot of feedback from our clients that are performing the services on a daily basis, and listen to any things that they're facing that we could make the boat better on a daily basis. So we meet once a week on those feedbacks. We listen to our testimonials. We invite our clients into some of our calls so that we can continue to grow and R&D the vessels to even do bigger and better jobs.
And so thinking through, you mentioned some of your businesses governmental, especially down here in Florida, all the different bodies of water. I think of all the country clubs and the golf courses and the plant life and whatnot in all those ponds, all with different ownership, right? I mean, kind of what between HOAs and private entities. And so would you say outside of government is your main customer companies that provide this service, so they need your vessel?
We get contacted by homeowner associations quite a bit to buy a vessel, and those HOAs are usually managed by some landscape companies. And so the HOAs will say, stop spraying herbicides, because in those HOAs, they're using that body of water to actually irrigate their land. And they don't want the copper sulfate in their feet. And they don't want the copper sulfate being sprayed on their homes. So then you'll get into the landscape company through that, because they're kind of saying, hey, we want it. So yeah, so we're really hitting the homeowner that way. Then we're hitting companies that are doing landscaping as a business. Other pockets of heavy equipment companies that are doing some type of earth moving will run into situations where, you know, cleaning the lakes or doing some type of lake maintenance is part of their job. And so we'll sell to those companies. What's really fun sometimes is when we get clients that come in and they've been a doctor maybe for most of their life and they've just retired, and they're like, we want to do this. I don't want to go home and sit and read for the rest of my life. So they come in, they buy a boat, we teach them everything they need to know. They hang their shingle and they go out there. They're making anywhere from 1,800 to 2,000 a day, providing the service. That's a boat and an operator, and they're having so much fun. You know, we built this vessel so it's got the complexities you need to do tough jobs, but we've also built this vessel so that you can still pull it under an apple tree and fix it yourself. You don't need it to plug it into a computer. And so we tried to balance functionality with simplicity. And in our tutorials and all the tutelage that we do provide, it's always backed up with videos. So if they forget, or they can go on, and we have this whole how-tos, and it's actually fun. Those are some of my favorite clients. Astronauts are really, really on the top of my list. I love those guys because they tinker with them. But yeah, I love to see these retired folks that aren't ready to retire.
Sure. And so the boat or the vessel itself, like, explain how you got to where you are, with, I'm sure, many iterations of it.
Yeah. Again, as I was speaking before, you have to listen to what your clients are going through. I can tell you what invasive weeds are out there, or I can tell you, yes, there's a dead gator in the lake, and the gator weighs, you know, 500 pounds or 600 pounds, and you can use the bucket to pick it up and remove it. The different species that they face will help us create the vessel in a different way. For example, we patented our outdrives. So we have a dual propulsion hydraulic powered outdrives that are not outdrives like you would see on a center console. They're actually outdrives that we made specifically for these vessels to be able to portage through very tough weeds, matted weeds, think of clumps, and these propellers are able to cut through. And that has really advanced over the last couple of years, and we've put a lot of time into that, and we've really perfected that. The weight of the vessel and the dissipation of the vessel and how we dissipate the weight has evolved based on the requirements of their job functions. You can tell somebody that they can only pick up 500 pounds, and I'm telling you, they're going to pick up more. And so, you know, we've tried to create more buoyancy, because despite me telling them what it can pick up, they're going to do more. So we've added that more buoyancy to the vessel. And last but not least, we just came out with the 2024 model, and we've just introduced the Kubota Turbo. So we have the D902, which was the natural aspirated engine previously, and now we've just unveiled the Turbo 2024. So that gives you more torque, same horsepower, but more torque. And why is that engine so important? Because if you go to Europe, you do meet the standards for the tier 5 versus tier 4. And that's a big deal because we are penetrating Europe quite a bit now. So yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting to get photos from Vietnam and watching them clean the plastics out of the water. It's exciting to get photos from Nigeria. And you've got a big church group who bought some vessels to help, you know, clean up their communities. I mean, these are really cool things to see.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Puts a little pep in your step. Yeah.
I bet it gives some purpose to the whole thing, right?
It does. It really does.
And so what about, and I'm looking at the picture behind you, and then I'm thinking, you know, not everybody knows what should and should not be removed, right? I mean, whether it's a littoral shelf or whatever it may be, how do, and not that it's on you to make sure they know that, but is there people that come in and say, I just have a bunch of crap in my pond and I want it out? I'm like, what kind of education do they need to make sure they're not doing anything they shouldn't do?
It's a great question. A lot of developers, when they enter into a development project, they'll meet, for example, let's just use Florida. They'll meet here in Palm Beach County with South Florida Water Management. And South Florida Water Management will mandate that they plant X amount of littoral plantings within a given body of water in their development. Littoral plantings are usually they'll usually hang out around the perimeter, and they help provide oxygen and a whole host of benefits to the water and the habitat within the water. Littoral plantings can get out of control, and invasive weeds can grow within the littoral plantings. For example, bulrush is something that you don't want to remove. You can tame it, but that's considered native, and that's something that you want to keep. Whilst emitting milfoil is not something that you want. So we have developed the front loader attachment to have tines, and these tines allow two really good benefits. One we call precision harvesting. I can actually watch operators go in and gently pluck out what they need while leaving what needs to stay native and stay in the water. The second interesting thing with the bucket is that the tines are spread out such that if that cool little turtle or frog jumps onto that front end loader, he can gently escape and come to safety. We did a project on Lake Okeechobee. Corps of Engineers asked us to do it, and some other folks, FWC, there's a whole host of people asked us to do a sample study out there. And they were there watching for bycatch, and they actually looked at the barge that we've loaded and unloaded for them, so that they could look for bycatch of what did this machine do, and did we harm fish or aquatic life. There was one cute little dragonfly when we walked up, and he flew off. So I think we did pretty good.
And you mentioned manufacturing. Are you manufacturing everything in-house?
Almost everything. I don't make the Kubota engine.
Okay.
No, but primarily, I mean, I don't make the bolts and the screws, but
Right.
Yes, the frame of the vessel is ours. And there are certain products I buy, but primarily I would say we're 80% in control from a manufacturing standpoint. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so, and Tara, given how the business started to where you are now with some very difficult transitions throughout, how have you as a business owner kind of continued to move everything forward? What's the trick?
So I think you have to make sure you trust your team, or I should say, I always call myself a navigator. I always remind my team, and maybe the CEO and president of this company, and I may be leading this company, but I'm here to be a navigator for you, to get paid, to make sure you have the right tools, safety, to make sure you have the right provisions that make a happy and healthy workplace. And I'm here to make sure we have the clients to sell the boats to. So I'm kind of navigating all of these different steps. But you also have to have, in my opinion, well, this is strictly my opinion, I think you have to be able to find the safe places for your given team and allow them to grow, allow them to chime in on what can be in their given position, how can they make it better. I think that, I grew up in a very male-dominated industry in New York in banking. I played polo. Like, I've always been in these male-dominated industries. And I also grew up in a really chain of command system where, you only can go to your immediate superior and you can't I'm not really big on that. I think that I don't feel that that's the atmosphere I like. So I've been running this company on a basis that we usually have at about 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm out there talking to everybody. We're having morning meetings. We're talking about anything we need to get, any special tools. How is everybody? Laugh a little. I also do golfing with my group. We go shooting, the skeet shooting, no animals, just ski, little clays. We take trips together. Like you spend 2/3 of your life at work, so why not make it home? I also provide food. So on Mondays, I'll stock their lounge with groceries, from cold cuts, chicken wings, you name it, anything that they would need. I understand. I can tell you what everybody eats, their whole dietary plan.
I bet.
And then in the management side, I'll throw down a few times a week and make some lunch for everybody. And we always have cold cuts and stuff. So I think making your office and I think that whole morale of making it just as nice and cozy as it would be if they were at home, obviously, metaphorically, I think that adds to productivity. And I think productivity allows you to expand. And manufacturing is a beast of its own, right? So it's one thing to sell a product like a B2C model. We are selling a product to a consumer, but manufacturing is a whole balance. You make too much or you buy too much. It's got a shelf life. You lose money when it's sitting on the shelf. You're just-in-time inventory, you're lean manufacturing, but making sure that you build things on a timely fashion to manage the client expectations. All of this has to come into play. And a happy group of people will be able to have the flexibility for you when things start to get, oh man, the supplier or this happened or that happened. They'll work with you. They'll figure it out because they're on your team. They're part of your decision-making, part of your meetings. They're part of your happiness and of your problems. That for me has worked, and it's worked really well. And the people that have worked for me are here for some time. And we offer, on top of that, good packages, good employee salaries, good benefits, 401 matching. I've got some younger guys here. I'm teaching, hey, save money. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about how to choose what portfolio you might want to go in, and the benefits to that. It's not just a job. It's teaching them how to get to the next stage of their life.
Sure.
Continued education. You want to learn about lean manufacturing, So I think all of that it's more of I don't have children and my husband passed, but I feel mama-ish.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with a little mama-ish going on.
Well, it sounds like you're doing a hell of a job. And just creating a work environment that people want to be a part of. Like that's just a lost art. So good for you for doing that. And, because you have this growing business and this strong team, what does the future look like? What's next for the company?
Yeah. So we just kind of had our forecast meeting. Again, as we've been growing a roughly 18 to 20% a year, it's been a nice growth because it doesn't really impact anybody negatively. I can kind of buy accordingly, and the boys in the back, they can build accordingly. Everything's fine. But we're starting to grow out of our space. So next steps are we are locating a nice piece of land. We've located it. We're in the throes of getting it, hopefully. We have a blueprint of the building we're building. We're meeting with some really, really very clever people, Florida Meets out of Florida, here, South Florida, really smart people to assist us. And when you build your new building, how does it flow from a lean manufacturing standpoint? We're introducing some more revenue models. It's exciting. I think that with the ability to go into the European market with these engines, with the new marketing agenda that we're putting forth this year, COVID's now finally in the past, so we'd like to get to some more shows this time now. We don't have to hide it, although we did fine during COVID, I'm just saying. I think that our jump from 18 to 20 is probably going to go a little bigger. So I'd like to say we'll probably be shooting for about a third growth for the 2024, and I'm pretty sure I'll do it.
Seem pretty confident in that. That's a good feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, such an interesting business, and probably not one that many had thought of. And so, providing the visual in the background is very helpful because now I see exactly, and I can imagine retiring and jumping on one of those and spending my time with that cool hat and doing some good things for the environment. Yeah. So, Tara, really enjoyed spending time with you and hearing more about the business. Weedoo Greenboat Inc. Really good stuff. Congratulations on your journey thus far, and we wish you the best of luck moving forward.